On this week's show, we'll be discussing PS5 Pro, did Sony make a mistake? Xbox Game Pass confusion as they've relaunched their new tiers. We have some Metal Gear news and the future of Minecraft and potential return of Flappy Bird. All that and much, much more on this week's GamerGuild Podcast. Good game, everyone. Welcome back to the GamerGuild Podcast, your weekly show where we round up all the week's video game stories and news right here for your listening or viewing pleasure, right here on youtube.com/GamerGuildTV and up there in the digital cloud on your podcast preference of choice. Joining me this week is Mr. Chris. How are you?
I'm very well. Happy to be back talking games this fine weekend.
Indeed. We've actually got quite a lot to talk about.
Busy week.
We have a very, very busy week, so we'll get into it fairly quickly, I think. We do have a great show lined up for you. But before we get into it, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so you're kept in the loop of all our fantastic content here at GamerGuildTV, such as our live streams. Chris, we had a live stream this last week.
Shh, won't talk about the live stream.
We won't talk about it.
Won't talk about the live stream.
We had tech issues. So let's talk about the week before, where you played Astrobot. Are you still playing Astrobot? How's Astrobot?
I'm no longer playing Astrobot. I'm finished with it because I got the platinum. So, done. About 15 hours. Absolutely enjoyable experience through and through. And it was one of those games, you know, when you finish it and you kind of sit back on the hub world or the start menu or the pause screen or whatever, and you just kind of like, I don't know what to do now. I wanted more. I would have happily taken double this.
How long did it take you roughly?
About 15 hours, I think.
Okay.
Stop and start. It's a bit confusing because I've got like a separate save file with my wife.
Yeah.
Where we're going through the basically all the levels as well with her. So I will be playing more of it at some point. But for now, working my way towards the platinum. There's a couple of the challenging levels which come up near the end for a couple of trophies, which were like, I mean, I'm not wanting to throw my controller, but you know when you have to just take a deep breath and like I do like really, really fast repetitive clicks on the back of the L2 and R2 just to be like, I twiddle the sticks like quite aggressively. It's like, right.
Oh, okay. Mate, I get gamer rage. I'm playing Jedi Survivor and the amount of times I'm just like, Cal, use the fucking stim.
Yeah.
Because he won't use a stim if you're in any kind of action.
Right.
It's like, so if you, and sometimes the dodge is shit, I find on that game. It winds me up when you press an enemy's got like a red attack which you can't block. So you press dodge and he doesn't dodge far enough. It's like, how am I meant to dodge that then if he doesn't dodge far enough?
Jump.
Yeah, it's...
Maybe. I don't know. It's been a while.
It's annoying, but you get better, get used to it.
He needs Astrobot's laser feet over the top of them and kill them that way. That's something that they should add in. Yeah. There's got to be some character in Star Wars history that has laser feet.
Oh, there will be, yeah. But we actually have more news on Astrobot, I think, later in the shows. Anything else you've been playing since your roll credits?
I've gone back to Star Wars Outlaws. So that was Astrobot. I knew was never going to take too long. So it was always like, I'll just take a breather from Outlaws, enjoy like a fun, whimsical 3D platformer, and then inevitably, probably by the week after, I'll be back to Outlaws. So I'm just getting back into that. I have bit the bullet on Space Marine.
Oh, you've done it?
Yeah, so... After, remember all my Amazon Astrobot delivery fiasco?
Yes.
That got remedied and I got credited back by Amazon. So when that credit went back into my bank account, I was kind of looking at it and it was like, it's the exact same price Space Marine is.
Free money.
So I kind of like hovered over it, I had it in my basket, and then I was like, yeah, go on then.
You played one, you enjoyed it, and it's doing quite well.
Well, I'm also near the end of Outlaws' main campaign, so I'm thinking like between Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows in November, I'm probably going to want something to play. And Space Marine's getting so much acclaim, and I spoke to a couple of people this week at work who were like, "Oh, it's fantastic, mate." So I was like, "Okay, I've had enough correspondence to say it's a safe decision to make." So, and like you said, free money, even though it was my money, but yes.
Yeah. Do you think there's something about, because things like Star Wars Outlaws is open world, do you think in Space Marine it isn't, is it? Do you think this?
It's not. It's quite linear.
Do you think there's something about this being a bit of a pivot back to more linear style games because people are just getting a bit burnt out in open world?
I hope so. I listened to some developer video interviews with the Astrobot folks this week, and they were talking about like, what does the future of Asobi Studios look like? Will you be expanding? Will you be making different things? Will you be stick with Astrobot? And the director, I think it's called Nico, basically said like he does feel like there's a very good gap in the market and an edge for people to just want shorter, condensed games. So they said even if they made another Astrobot, it wouldn't like double, triple in size. They would just keep it the same and have a shorter experience. And he admits himself that his own back catalogue is so big that he feels like shorter experiences are like they have a really good, rich vein. And I think between Space Marine, Astrobot, and a couple of other things this year, I think in the sheer rising cost and time it takes to put out AAA games, I would quite happily take it. I mean, we've said in the past, like Uncharted Lost Legacy, I would take a Lost Legacy size game every 3 years over having to wait 5-6 years for a full entry, like just for something to play, really.
Well, I know I had this thought back when I was playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Sometimes games are just too big, and I've been thinking a lot of the financial calls and stuff that these studios have with their investors, they're not just quoting like units sold, they're quoting hours played on games. So I think there's something in there that's trying to force publishers are forcing developers to make the games bigger and bigger and bigger. The obvious way to do that is make the game open world. But I don't feel open world games do anything interesting anymore. They all feel very samey in a certain kind of way.
There's only so much you can do, right? You go to a desert area, you go to a snowy area, you go to a jungle area, and then repeat.
That's it. The genre, I feel, has got stale. You'll have some sort of light RPG mechanics, an open world with probably some collectibles, some side tasks and stuff. You have your main quest string, and it's like, they're very formulaic. And I feel that's where open world needs to break the formula a bit to become more interesting again. Yeah. But these things do come in cycles, I think. Like, in 5 years' time, we'll be saying, where's all the open world games gone?
Yeah, I mean, we had I remember playing Assassin's Creed Unity at the launch of the PlayStation 4 generation, and in that game, it's got the typical exploration traversal that you're familiar with from an Assassin's Creed game, but there was moments when you could go into buildings, like as you're parkouring, you would jump through a window, run through someone's house, over a table, and out the other side, and I thought, we're getting to the point where gaming's so good, we're going to have like a city, and we're going to be able to go into individual buildings and see like civilian lives but then it never happened, and you still just get glass facades, duplicated civilians and NPCs kind of walking around. I'm like, I'd rather someone focus on just like maybe a couple of blocks of a city, but made it so dense that I could go into a building and go 20 floors of an apartment, go in every door. You know what I mean? Like, just really focus their craft on like and tell a story, like maybe across 2 skyscrapers or a couple of blocks of a village, and have that fully immersive experience, as opposed to, you can travel Greece, but you can't really go in any building and you can't really interact with everyone. You know what I mean? It feels empty and sparse. I'd rather do the opposite, but we need a story or something to go with that, I guess. Yeah,
one thing I think I'm liking about Jedi Survivor is, because it does the Metroidvania thing, you'll find an object, something that blocks your way when you're just exploring the open world, and go, you can't pass that until you've got a new ability, which then funnels you back into the story. I think that's when open worlds are at the best, when they're not, while they are open, they're not too open. They restrict your gameplay to a certain degree to force you into the story, because otherwise, I felt a bit during when I played Horizon Forbidden West, you lose track of the story, because you might go 20 hours without doing a main story mission if the game's too open.
Yeah, I always laugh in open worlds when like the main campaign is like, the world is about to end. We need to get to this place quick. It's urgent. We have like minimal time. And then you go and do 20 side missions helping a farmer hunt his chickens back. And it's like, priorities, Aloy, priorities, Geralt, whoever it is.
It's the classic Fallout 4 memes like, my son's been kidnapped. Oh, but the Minutemen need new settlement founding.
Get your priorities in order.
Yeah. Well, that was a bit of a side rant, which I wasn't expecting, to be honest. But before we get into the show, make sure you check out our merch store. So, Chris, there's a promo.
There's a promotion coming up on the 21st and the 26th. 21st to the 26th of September, ahead of our 50th anniversary. It's 20% off everything. So if you're thinking about heading into winter and you want to get yourself a hoodie, a hat, a jumper, some swimming trunks, whatever you need for your winter ahead,
I'm tempted
then
to
check it out. You should be, and we also added some new things in this past week. And there is for the 5th anniversary, there is a special. It's a Stadia. It's the Stadia controller. You probably haven't even seen this yet, Richie.
I don't think I have actually.
I was fiddling around with it last night. It's the Google Stadia controller, but it's like the silhouette of it. So it's like the shadow design. That went up on a couple, so I've sent Richie the merch shot.
It's probably on. So. If you're watching the YouTube video, it'll probably be open now because I did actually download the images earlier when I was getting ready for the show, but I hadn't had a chance to look at them. Yeah,
there's a couple. So we all know the Google Stadia controller, one of the best aesthetically pleasing controllers of all time, and there's a couple of items now available. So there's a couple of new things on the merch store, but again, I'd always encourage you just to be patient. Like, don't go order them now. As much as we'd like you to buy them at full price, there's 20% off coming up. So 21st to the 26th of September, heading into our anniversary, there's 20% off everything. And like you, Richie, I'll probably have another glance at it and go, what do I fancy?
I'm tempted by the contrast hoodie with the GamerGuild logo, which the one you're wearing.
Yeah.
Well, you're wearing the t-shirt equivalent, but the contrast hoodie.
Yeah, I like it as well.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have to pick up one for each of us. Yeah. Do you have one?
I've got the yellow and black one.
Yeah.
Because the yellow and the hood looks really, really good. And they're really comfortable as well. Like, they're premium quality. They're not just like shitty Fruit of the Loom t-shirts.
I'm wearing like the Helix Cloud Games version of it. Well, mine's not the contrast one, but it's the same store.
Comfortable stuff. But it's a shame the promo didn't quite line up with our 50th anniversary because we got a lot on the table for that one, but it's close enough. It's heading into it.
Yeah, so 21st, 26th, that's going on. And as you mentioned, Chris, the 50th anniversary will be on Saturday the 28th. We'll be streaming for roughly 12 hours, maybe a bit more. Mm-hmm. In which we'll be doing this podcast live. We'll have a Q&A session. Head over to our Discord if you want to write in. That's the best place to do it. Or leave the comments of this video. Or wherever you're watching it. Best place is probably the Discord. It's easy for the Discord, especially if you're on a podcast platform. Mm-hmm. We're planning to play Gears of War 2, which is something we've been promising on the channel for quite a while.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah. We'll be going through, with you, ranking all of the consoles. Clickercast Season 2 preview.
Potentially. Again, we have time in the day, so depending on how the streams are going, how much of Gears of War we get through, we can make decisions on the fly. But the core timetables is lined down.
Yeah, and we'll also be playing some multiplayer games with you, our audience. So if there's a specific game you want to play with us, again, head over to Discord and let us know. So, Chris, let's get into the news. Would you like to introduce us to it?
Absolutely. The graciously gathered Gamer Guild Gazette, a.k.a. The News.
The News. And as always, our news is brought to you by our Guild Heroes, which you can join for as little as 99p over on the YouTube channel. We thank you very much for all the support you've given us over the last 5 years. I think it's about 4 years since we opened up the membership program. And some people have been there for the entire time, which is amazing. Again, really, really thank you for that. It's awesome.
Yeah, love to see it. And I guess special shout out to any new listeners, because we've seen a nice little boost in our subscriber numbers the last couple of weeks. We don't really know what it is. It might be the short. We've been putting out some shorts. I've been trying to.
It's the power of
apologies
Astrobot.
to anyone thinking like, oh, why am I been hit with shorts all of a sudden? But it is genuinely helping out with our numbers. So if anyone's new to the channel, this is the first episode of the podcast you're checking out. Thanks for stopping by. We've been doing this for 5 years. As Richie just said, we're going to celebrate at the end of the month. But we're on that road to 2K. Cannot wait.
Yeah. PS5 Pro, Chris. We got a release date and a price. It'll be out on November the 7th for £699 Great British pounds. It doesn't have a disk drive, and it doesn't have a vertical stand.
No, but it does have an upgraded GPU. And reading straight from the PlayStation blog, they've developed the PlayStation 5 Pro with deeply engaged players and creators in mind. Upgraded GPU with the PS5 Pro. We are upgrading to a GPU that has 67% more computing units than the current PS5 console and 28% faster memory. Overall, this enables up to 45% faster rendering for gameplay, making experiences much smoother. They've also got advanced ray tracing. We've added something even more powerful that provides more dynamic reflections and refraction of light. This allows the rays to cast at double and sometimes triple the speeds of the current PS5. And they've also used AI-driven upscaling, which they're calling PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, or PSSR, an AI-driven upscaling using machine learning technology to provide super sharp image clarity by adding an extraordinary amount of detail. And as Richie said, no stand, no disk drive, but it does come with Wi-Fi 7, which is going to be a big feature in the next couple of years. You'll notice the new iPhone was announced with it this past week. The PS5 Pro was announced with it. Mobile networks and broadband providers are going to start supplying Wi-Fi 7 in the next couple of weeks, months.
This is one of them things, though, is how many people even have Wi-Fi 6? It's all well and good, the platform holding, and absolutely, if PlayStation 5 Pro should have Wi-Fi 7. I think this is going to be one of them features that 90% of owners don't even use.
It's just future-proofing, isn't it?
Yeah.
As with all, if it came out with Wi-Fi 6, everyone would be arguing about why it doesn't come with 7. So it's one of those, you have to push it forward every time, because you've got to put something on the box to make it sing. And if you remember, the PS4 had 8K on the box, and then it never really supported it or never had anything to showcase. No. And when they did the Slim, they took 8K off the box, because I think we covered that on the show, like almost like winding it back a little bit, going, well, just keep hold of 8K and we can put it on the PS6 when it's genuinely here.
It's one thing. What they've done there is, in an absolute perfect test scenario, they've managed to get a game running probably at 30 frames per second, probably a 2D side scroll or something in 8K resolution. Mm-hmm. So then they go slap that on the box. Then no one cares about 8K. Yeah.
The biggest thing from the PS5 Pro, though, is of course, if anyone didn't watch it, Richie's probably shown footage of it now on the video feed, is Mark Cerny, of course, the amazing, super smart genius lead architect over at Sony. He was on stage in a virtual world to basically discuss the ins and outs of this, and they showcase like side-by-side footage, the deeper immersion of the crowds, and the AI power of that PSSR really driving home just more fidelity. Yeah. And I think the biggest message to take away was, currently now often people choose between performance and fidelity mode.
Roughly 80% of people.
Yeah, and this should get rid of that for nearly every game. Yeah. Of course, they didn't guarantee it. They said there's a select few games that'll get a PS5 Pro patch. But essentially, from a Pro model, it's what you expect. It's everything that the PS5 does without a disc drive, ramped up to 11. However, that does come at a cost, which I think seems to be the biggest talking point in the world right now.
I want to put the cost aside and talk about the specs a little bit more exempt from the cost, because I think these are the smart things to do, especially using the AI-driven upscaling to bridge the gap between performance and graphics modes, because as he said, roughly 80% of people go performance. So how do you address that? How do you get the top-end graphics with it? AI upscaling is going to do it. The better GPU is going to do it. So they can't promise it on every game, because it comes down to the developers of the individual titles to support it. But I think if you want the best PlayStation 5 experience, where you can just plug and play and get the best graphical performance and the best gameplay performance, which is going to be at the higher frame rates, that's where the PS5 Pro goes. So I think that with the Pro, they have addressed the criticisms of the PS5. However, that cost.
Yeah, it's one of them weird ones, because we've had the news was on Tuesday last week, if I recall. So obviously the time of our podcast, we're a little bit late to the table, as usual, if the news drops early in the week.
It's sometimes nice to have time to digest the information before you just fire off the hip.
And I think before we get into the price, I think, to be clear, this is too rich for my blood at this moment in time. My PlayStation 5 is perfectly capable. I did get a PlayStation 4 Pro at launch, and I was excited to get it. But at the time, my PS4 sounded like a jet engine that was going to take off and blast through the wall when I played Horizon or God of War. So I had like an actual physical necessity to want the device. However, when it comes to the Pro being announced, I look at my PS5 and I think this thing's barely really started running. It's still crawling as a child. It's a couple of years. And it's weird because it's the same time frame as the PS4 to PS4 Pro, PS5 to PS5 Pro, but I just don't feel like this generation's really even got running yet.
No, I feel the same. I think COVID really hung over heavily over the first maybe 3 years of this generation, and it doesn't feel like with the PS4. It felt like almost every single year we got one or two absolute massive first party bangers, just hit after hit after hit throughout the entire lifespan. I feel like we have got very few first party tight offerings from PlayStation so far. There's a few about, but actually a lot of them were cross-generation. Like things like God of War Ragnarok, that was cross-generation. Horizon Forbidden West, cross-generation. So this generation exclusive PlayStation first-party titles. And I wonder if it's the same thing on Xbox as well. I wonder if that's why it feels like the generation hasn't got going. Because we still feel like we're waiting for these hits. We're waiting for Ghost of Tsushima 2. We're waiting potentially for Last of Us Part 3. We're waiting for maybe the next Horizon game.
Wolverine,
yeah. We've got Spider-Man, but again, that was cross-generation.
Yeah.
So it still feels like we're waiting for the big hitters to come out. There's been good stuff. And this is for me where, like I said, I'm not getting the PS5 Pro, and the reason being is I think looking at that presentation and then the backlash, I think we need to accept that gaming isn't the same as it used to be. Xbox explicitly said like they don't believe in generations as much anymore, and the way we've seen the Series S to the Series X and the way PCs are evolving and becoming kind of like more mainstream is, do we just need to accept that gaming is very much like mobile phones now, where it's much more iterative? So all your PS4 games play on your PS5. All your PS4 and 5 games will inevitably play on your PS6. So going forward, I think everything is just like a platform, and we need to accept that actually the tech we have will probably run it just like your phone will. Which Google Pixel are you currently running, Richie? It's like the 6A, 7A? 6A, right? Yeah. I've got the Pixel 9 XL. I just got it because I broke my phone. Yours runs all the same apps mine does. Yeah.
It does cameras. It does all the same stuff. It just, mine will do it better because it's newer and more powerful.
You could sell your phone and buy my phone and be perfectly content.
Yeah.
And you probably wouldn't even notice any performance difference.
Yeah.
Maybe, actually, if there was, it's probably... I won't say my specific phone because mine's almost 2 years old now. If you bought a new 6A fresh out of the box, does the upgrade for the 6A to the 9 do much for you on your day-to-day life?
Probably not. I use WhatsApp and take photos. I mean, I take lots of pictures of my daughter, so I guess that would the camera difference. But, again, we're comparing apples to oranges there.
My camera's amazing.
Yeah, it's apples to oranges. Obviously, phones aren't the same as consoles, although they're more expensive, ironically enough. Like, this is a lot more expensive brand new than a PS5 Pro by a couple of hundred. Which is the big irony, is like the massive console that plays these super great games is less than this, and people are complaining about it. But I think to boil it all down, we need to just look at this as though it's iterative. So, yes, a PS5 is the base entry. There's the slim model, of course, which is the same tech. There's a PS5 Pro, but you don't need it. Just like you don't need an iPhone 16 Pro Max, because an iPhone 16 will do the job. It's
kind of semi-iterative, because Sony do believe in generations, so there will be a PS6. But because this is a mid-generation kind of refresh, this is the Pro model, every single game that the PS5 Pro will play will also be playable on the PS5.
Yeah.
Which I think is a key thing. Like, I've seen a lot of people very angry about the price point, where I was kind of like, ooh, that's too rich for my blood. But this is a Pro model. This isn't for everyone. They're not planning to sell anywhere near as many PS5 Pros as they do PS5s. Which is also one of the things that pushes the price up. It's economy of scale.
Yeah.
They're not, because this is the prosumer model. If you need the absolute best performance out of video games, buy a PC. Or PS5 Pro. Or if you want to go console, buy a PS5 Pro. But if you just want to be able to play all modern games to a decent standard, buy a PS5. Save your money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how Sony will be looking at it as well.
And they should, and I've seen it for all everyone's been angry. I've still kept an eye on like all of the websites, the gaming sites have done like polls of like, will you be buying a PS5 Pro? There's still about 15% saying yes.
Yeah.
So if Sony can get that 15% to buy a Pro for £700, then as you said, that's the enthusiasts market.
But that's 15%
who want to buy it.
You know what you have to think of? You're going talking about gaming website there. So a small percentage of gamers will actually go to a gaming website. A small percentage of that will actually engage with the gaming website's polls, and then a small percentage of that will actually saying they'll buy a PS5 Pro. So it's probably 1% max of people who are interested in PlayStation.
Yeah,
interested.
But
in this
then at
console.
the same time, you've got people who walk in the shop. They want the new console. They go, well, this is the best. It's a bit more expensive, but it's the best. And they're the same people who go in and they buy the iPhone Pro Max, even though it costs X amount more per month per year. Because it's the best. People want the best. Like it's a statement. It's an accessory for your life.
And you pay for that. You pay a premium
and you do
for that.
pay for it. But as it all boils down, I don't think it's. I don't want to say it's unreasonable because it's priced me out well and truly. Like I think I paid $450 for my PS4 Pro, so the price has jumped astronomically, and I do think it sets a bad precedent for what the PS6 could look like. I don't think we should be looking at the PS5 Pro in pricing compared to the PS6. I think you should be looking at the PS5 compared to the PS6. Because the PS6 isn't there to replace the 5 Pro, it's there to replace the PS5. But looking at history, this is where when the PS4 Pro came out, it was the same price as the PS4 was at launch. Because time had passed, the PS4 went on sale, and then the PS4 Pro came out at the same price as the launch PS4. However, the difference now is Sony have put the base PS5 price up year on year, and then with the Pros coming out at a much higher price, it's like actually that gap for general price cuts.
The Switch hasn't gone down in price. $5 as well.
In the States it did. We're fortunate over here in the UK for some reason. We won't get into inflation rates, I don't think, and the UK and other European countries have been absolutely shafted.
It's a very, very complicated political situation going on.
Yeah, but $699 does not equate to £699 in any way, shape or form. No. We are getting mugged off by a good chunk of change. But what I would say is, do you think there would be as much uproar if this was the PlayStation 6? You know what I'm saying about iterative consoles?
Yes. If
people came out and this is the PS6,
I think there would be
faster, better,
more uproar.
More uproar.
Because I've just justified the price of this. Well, I'm going, no, I would not pay that price for a console, because now you're getting getting to the level where you might as well start considering dropping an extra £300-400 and getting yourself a gaming PC. It's getting a bit too close to gaming PC prices for my taste. PS6 is a base entry for that generation, so that would be then me going, what's the point of a PS6 if it's getting close to PC territory in terms of money? This is a prosumer model. This isn't the model I would recommend people buy, but the PS6 would have to be. If that makes sense. This
is where we get to that weird, like, iterative generations thing, where how can you believe in generations when the PS6 will essentially be a PS5 Pro? It'll play backwards compatible games.
The PS5 is a PS4 Pro.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So, like, there's at what point they can't keep saying it's generations when they very much struggle to justify the Pro in that video. I don't know if you watched the full thing.
Yeah.
But those comparison shots, I know they were compressed for YouTube. Those comparison shots were like, I can't even see the difference from the 5 to the Pro.
The difference is not going to be in graphics, because, as Mark said, most people are playing not on the highest graphical settings that are available. They're playing on the performance mode. So the idea, what they should be showing is the performance mode versus the PS5 Pro, not the graphics mode versus the PS5 Pro. That's where I think they may have went wrong. But again, I think games are at a standard now where they are so beautiful, it's diminishing returns.
It is complete. It has been for a while.
We saw it happen in the TV market. We got to 4K, and very few people are actually interested in going beyond it.
Yeah,
that's why they started talking about better lighting and better
HDR
tech and stuff, because they can't really sell in resolution alone anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. there's a lot to break down with the Pro. I think they've shot themselves in the foot a little bit with daft decisions like the stand.
Yeah.
So if the vertical stand is sold separately, do I just put this thing on its side and it wobbles around like the base model? Is that how I'm supposed to do it?
The fact that you need a stand to begin with is a design flaw. And I think that was the base PS5. It's a design flaw.
It's odd, isn't it?
Yeah, if you need to have a stand for this thing to stand, I get it with the base PS5 because it can change so you can mount it horizontally, but why not just design the console to be able to do that anyway? It's a weird design decision. That's not even taking the looks of the thing. It's still ugly.
What you mean once it's been attacked by a velociraptor down the side of it?
Yeah.
And it's got the big like swipe mark. I will say the PS5 Pro Wolverine edition could look pretty cool if they think about the claws going through the console.
I hope there's like the slashes on the side are actually vents.
I'd imagine they are.
Yeah, because then at least it makes
they're not just go faster
sense.
stripes.
Yeah. I think the PS5 Pro looks better than the base PS5, to be honest.
It just looks like a PC tower, doesn't it, really?
Yeah. Going back to the generations thing, I think the reason why Sony like generations is because then you have this cut-off point where you don't have to keep supporting everything forever.
Yeah.
So with Xbox, they still have to produce consoles that can support games that were released on the base Xbox. Sony don't have that obligation. PS5 Pro has... All games currently have to support PS5, and PS5 Pro. They'll run on PS5 Pro as well. But they're not producing games specifically for Pro. They're producing enhancements for Pro, where PS6... When they release games for PS6, they don't have to have them on PS5 if they don't want to.
Yeah,
I think that's where they go this this semi-iterative thing. So they get the mid-generation refresh, which is the Pro model, and then the next generation, they don't have to be developing software that supports the last one.
Yeah. Yeah, drawing a line under your last gen is always helpful.
I actually like that as a consumer as well, although it does cost you more money because eventually you do have to buy the next console. It means that developers aren't getting held back as much. We've talked loads of times about the Series S not being that much better than like the Xbox One X.
Yeah.
So if developers feel like they're getting held back by it because they have to support it.
It's a One X Pro.
Yeah.
And to kind of keep drilling it down as well, is before we get into the comparisons, because I think there's a very good point to be made about the competition. No disk drive either, which I think is people who really like physical media still. I think if I was ever to consider a Pro, I would want a disk drive because I've got a huge video game collection of PS5 and 4 games. And then that's a further £80 on top of it. So that's where the price does start to really jump up.
£80 for a disk drive is ridiculous.
Yeah. And if you want the stand, so you're talking, probably up to £820-30.
This is where my argument of it being a prosumer model fall down. Because for me, this should be all bells and whistles.
Premium, everything.
Everything in. Stick another 50 quid on and give me the stand and this drive.
Yeah.
Even if you're not... That's what this should be. It should be. This is the definitive PlayStation 5 experience. You have your disc drive, you have your stand, you have your better console. We're going to put a DualSense fucking Edge in the box.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like back to our phone example. Like, there's the Pixel XL, but the camera's separate. Like, hang on a minute. That the camera's kind of a key component of the phone, just like the disc drive is to millions and millions of people. I get we're leaning towards a more digital future. It does have me worried that the PS6 is going to go, we're all digital. Like, is there a PS6 model, or is this the future where everything's a separate disc drive now? PCs did it years ago. When's the last time anyone bought a laptop that came with a disc drive? I mean,
I said before, the slim versions of the PS5 were designed without the disc drive and detachable disc drive to streamline their manufacturing process. That's why they did it, not to improve the console, to streamline their manufacturing process, which means that they can produce more units quicker, and which keeps the cost of their production down, which means they make more profit. That is why they did it.
I mean, discless also makes them way more money. They're getting full digital sale cost.
Yeah, it's multiple wins for Sony to do it, and they're kind of going, well, there's this drive there if you want it. The Pro for me should have the disc drive.
Yeah, I mean this is a premium product. They go on in the blog to actually describe it as pretty much, as you said, the absolute top of the line tech people. The PS5 Pro fits perfectly within the PS5 family of products, including the PSVR 2, the Portal, the DualSense Edge, the Access Controller, the Pulse Elite, and the Pulse Explore. So they're basically saying, like, look, if you want all in on PlayStation, like, we have a suite of tech now that's all spacey white and modern looking, and it will cost you an arm and a leg.
This is why I think the DualSense Edge should be boxed in. Give you the best. Get you, when you open the box, you get the best PlayStation 5 experience. And then if you have a DualSense Edge and get used to it, and you want to buy a second controller, you're more likely to consider the Edge.
Yeah. And this is where we need to, I guess, pivot and look and like critique it for its price point. But then at the same time, if you took all the specs, so better GPU, better CPU, all the AI stuff, and presumably a more efficient design overall, and then put it alongside its competition, the Series X. Xbox have that Space Galaxy edition of the Series X coming out this winter.
They do.
2 terabytes. It's only £100 less. So for £100 more, you're getting a Pro that is the best, the most powerful console in the world. It's just leaped over the X because it's a hell of a lot newer. So for £100 more, you're getting a console that is £100 more. And I think the thing we're overlooking as well is the 2 terabyte hard drive. Hard drives aren't cheap. That jump from 860 whatever the base is to 2 terabyte, that's actually quite an expensive jump in memory.
They're a lot cheaper than Sony would like you to admit. I've actually just bought a 2 terabyte hard drive for £60, and I'm not Sony. I'm not buying at the scale they are.
True, but 60 is not far off 100. That's the only difference between the X and the Pro. Is 100 quid.
A 1 terabyte hard drive from Seagate, where I bought my 2 terabyte one, was £5 cheaper. They're putting a premium on that.
But I'm just saying, from the X to the Pro, 100 quid difference for what the Pro does compared to the X is a big thing. And I've seen a lot of people talking about, like, for this price, you could go and get a PC. And that's where the market differs, is 100% you can go and build a custom PC, you can go buy a PC. I don't actually think you'd get that great of a PC for 800 quid.
No, I think if
I paid over £1,000 for mine, and it's running like shit today. My camera's all over the place.
If you want a gaming PC, I think your starting price point is £1,000.
Yeah. And that doesn't get you top of the line.
You could buy a gaming PC for cheaper than that will run all modern games. But if you want to get close to the specs of a PS5 Pro, or even just a PS5, you are talking over £1,000. But that's the point of consoles. The point of consoles is because they can mass produce these things, they can drastically cut the cost and sell it at a more comfortable price point. That's why consoles even exist to begin with.
Yeah.
Because otherwise everyone just gave on PCs.
They are just PCs. They just have a refined UI that's specific to the manufacturer. And
because they're using the same GPU, same CPU, same RAM throughout the entire run, it's easier to produce games. It's easier to bug fix games. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of... That's the advantages of consoles. But if you want the absolute best performance, it's PC. Buy the best PC stuff. Yeah. And you can way outstrip what the PS5 does.
Absolutely. And then this gets to my final point with the PC comparison is, yes, you can go and do that, but depending on the type of gamer you are and what you want to play, you could have the most expensive PC in the world, but you can play Spider-Man, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, Astrobot, The Last of Us, Uncharted. Need I go on? Unless you want to wait for a year or two.
Yes, I was going to say, a lot of them games you can actually play.
You might get them eventually, and yes, they will look better and stuff, but we all know as gamers, we like to play the latest and greatest now. I don't want to be waiting a year to play the next Spider-Man game beyond everyone else. Like, look at me this week. I bought Space Marine 2 because I bowed to the peer pressure of wanting to play the latest and greatest.
There was no peer pressure. You chose that yourself.
No, just put it on myself because that's, I think, video gamers and tech enthusiasts, we want to be on the cutting edge. So just like I wanted to have Space Marine, but like in the now and then, people will go out and buy the PS5 Pro because they want it in the now and then. They want the latest and greatest. That's how this industry works. That's why it's so cash rich, because people will quickly dismiss a product that works incredibly well to get the next greatest thing just because they can, because it's been launched. That's why iPhone put out a new 2, 3, 4 models every single year, because people buy them.
And they've conditioned their audience to get used to and get excited for the next launch. So they are buying a new phone every single year. I think, for me, the way to look at this is, it's a prosumer model. If you're not happy with the price point, don't fucking buy it. And that's the best way you can send the message to Sony. Don't buy it. If you think the price point is not reasonable for what you get, don't buy it. That's it. And if it doesn't sell well, that's when Sony will learn the lessons, if you think there's a lesson to be learned. I think this is probably priced because they want to make a profit out of it, and they know they're not going to sell this anywhere near the same quantity of devices. So they have to put a higher...
Yeah.
They'll make it, their margins in the PS5 Pro will be higher than the margins in the PS5 Slim.
Yeah. There's a tipping point, isn't there, where for the production costs to how much they charge, they think, well, if we charge an extra 100, yes, we'll piss people off. Well, yes, we won't sell as many. But if we're making an extra £100 to £200 per unit, that makes us more money overall, even though we'll sell less.
But how many less do you think they're going to sell if it was at £600 or £700? I don't think I don't think the number of units sold will be that different. No.
Once you get past a certain point, people who spend that much money have that much money and they don't care for a reason.
Yeah.
If you're willing to drop £700, then £80 for a disc drive, and then £20-30 for a stand, you're not in the realm of people looking at a Series S for £199.
Yeah.
It's a different ballpark.
I think once you go over £500, it's a lot easier to justify the hundreds.
And
because it's only an extra 100, and either you might be taken out on a payment plan, or you're alone, or sticking on a credit card, or you just have the cash. You're lucky enough to have the cash.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ways around it. Like, you could do trade-ins. So how many places are going to say, well, actually trade in your PS5 and you'll get 150 off? That might be enough to bring it down to a reasonable cost.
That's a harsh trade-in, that, considering the PS5 Slim goes for $479.
Yeah, but again, CX and whatnot. But then, as you mentioned, their payment plans, our all-access pass for the Series S is up this month. If we paid it off 2 years Xbox.
And they got a month free before I have to pay again.
And then, again, like we said about expensive tech, but you go out, people can get iPhones on monthly contracts with phone providers now that cost over £100 a month, which is baffling to me. But if you go in and get a console, that's £800, that probably comes to what? 50, 55 a month on a 2-year plan, maybe? Is that unreasonable in today's world? Like, everyone has everything on Klarna or finance or PayPal credit. Like, even buying Space Marine the other night, Amazon popped up. Do you want to pay £50 or do you want to pay 16 odds 22 for 3 months for interest free? It's like, actually, expensive tech isn't that expensive when you spread it out. And if the PS5 Pro is going to last you 2+ years, it'll be paid off like our Series S's are. And you just spread it out. So, yes, it seems expensive, but as you said, Richie, if you don't want it, don't buy it. Play it wherever makes you the happiest, and spend your money wherever that makes you happiest as well.
Yeah. I just want to round up by summarising this conversation by basically saying you're paying an extra £220 against the PS5 Slim, and you're getting a console that is 8mm taller. Moving on. New additions for the PlayStation Plus catalogue, Chris.
Yeah. What can I play on my PS5 Pro?
What do you want to play? Where do you want to start with this?
Well, with the newest one?
The newest one, the Plucky Squire, Day 1. Heard some good things. Our Discord seems to like this game.
Yeah, it's got loads of early buzz, the Plucky Squire. Reading from the blog, because this is the main one for the month, because it is day and date. The Plucky Squire follows the magical adventures of Jot and his friends, storybook characters who discover a 3-dimensional world outside the pages of their book. When the malevolent Humgrump realises he's the villain of the book, Destined to lose his battle against the forces of all good fraternity, he kicks the heroic Jot out of its pages and changes the story forever. Jot must face challenges unlike anything he's ever seen if he is to save his friends from Humgrum's dark forces and restore the book's happy ending. Jump between 2D and 3D worlds in this charming action-adventure, solving puzzles, boxing badges, flying with a jetpack, and enjoying more and more delightful surprise mini-challenges as you become the hero of a living storybook. Yeah, this game got quite a lot of praise across like Summer Game Fest. I think it was Game Awards last year. It just looks like one of them where it's similar to Cuphead, where it does something different, where because it does jump between that 2D and 3D. We've seen it done before, but maybe not to this artistic flair. And it looks super fun, looks great. I'll definitely be checking it out. And it's maybe another really great get for PlayStation Plus because it's day one, so you don't have to buy it. Just like Stray, just like Rocket League back in the day, Fall Guys. It looks like another quirky indie win for PlayStation Plus.
It does look really cool, and honestly, I think this would be a very good game on the Portal.
Yes, it's got that portable aesthetic.
It's got very, very strong Nintendo Switch vibes.
Not coming to the Switch though.
Not coming to the Switch. Yeah, it is. It's coming to the Switch. Yeah.
Oh well, take it back.
Yeah. Oh, at least it was.
Will it run as good as a PS5 Pro?
Yeah, when it was announced in 2023, it said it's coming to the Switch. The Switch is a weird one. I don't want to get into it. I think it feels like it's been dying for years, and then they keep bringing out new stuff.
Well, again, comparing, like we won't compare it, but imagine the tech in the Switch compared to that PS5 Pro.
Yeah,
like albeit you could get 2.5 Switches for the price, but type of gamer you are.
Yeah. So the games we're talking about here are for your extra and premium members. I'm going to read through the list, and then we can just pick one or two to talk about further. Obviously, Plucky Squire comes day one. Under the Waves, Night in the Woods, Chernobyl Light, Wildcard Football, Space Engineers, Road 96, Ben 10, Far Cry 5, Pistol Whip, which is for the PSVR 2, Secret Agent Clank, which was originally a PSP game, Skygunner, PS2, and Mr. Mosquito. Far Cry, decent get?
Yeah, it's the same with most of these catalogue entries. It's like, if I hadn't played the big names, I'd be like, oh, this is really interesting. But I think
it's a re-release Far Cry 5.
Yeah, it's back to our previous conversations of like, what type of gamer are you? And I'm of that generation where I want to play the latest and greatest, like in and around release. So I'm part of the conversation. I see this stuff online and social media, and it doesn't get spoiled for me in all essence. But there's a lot of gamers out there and a lot of younger kids out there who don't have that disposable income to go and drop £70 on a game every other month maybe. And they are bound to these subscription models. And I think we maybe take it for granted sometimes when we look at this list and like we go, oh, Far Cry 5, that's a couple of year old game. Imagine if you were like 12, well, probably shouldn't be playing it if you were 12, but if you're 12-year-old and this game drops, that's like 40 hours of fun that you can have on a brilliant game that your mum or dad maybe wouldn't have given you the money to go and buy outright, and it's now just, there you go, play it. It's part of your rotating Netflix subscription. Like, the gaming catalogues and these subscriptions are so cool for, like, a different generation to us. And I think we often look at it and go, like, I've been there, I've done that, I've seen that. But yeah.
You have to remember, we're from a generation where we grew up without these subscriptions existing. So gaming for us was, you bought the new game, you went home, you played it to death because you couldn't afford to buy the next one because you ran out of pocket money.
Yeah, even if it was bad, you still had to play it to death because you had no choice.
Nowadays, how many parents with kids have got a PlayStation 5, they just play for PS5 Premium and there's your games, and that's all the kid knows, that's all they ever want. And
buy your game outright?
Occasionally they might ask for a brand new game, but it's probably not that often.
FIFA, Call of Duty, GTA.
Yeah.
They're the three that I think actively people go out and go, I will pay and beg my parents to buy me. I mean, we saw the stats, didn't we, at the beginning of the year that said like most games that are like the most popular now are from like 2016, 17. Yeah. Fortnite, Minecraft.
Well, that's it. There's like, I mean, we're not big games as service people, but there's a reason people play them, because people enjoy playing them. And if we were kids, when things like Fortnite came out, we would absolutely be playing Fortnite every night.
Oh, yeah.
It would be a huge part of not just our gaming life, our social life. Where, like, obviously we do the podcast, so this does count as socialising. But we don't really socialise via gaming.
No. It's like we do from time to time. I do sometimes occasionally with my brother.
Yeah, but it's not
like
the
you said,
central
like,
point of our social relationship.
Yeah, I prefer to go to the pub, hang out with someone, cinema. We're not all young enough to hang around at the shops anymore. It's a bit weird.
Yep.
Outside Woolworths, meet you there.
But like, I'd say like football is something more we do socially than
Sports,
gaming.
yeah.
So I think in general these gaming subscriptions, well, I'm looking at this and going, there's nothing really that maybe the Plucky Squire I'm interested in, but I don't actually have PS Pro Extra or Premium, so I won't be playing it. There's nothing jumping out. Under the Waves?
Yeah, it's the indie games that I've always looked at and thought, like, they're cool, but finding the time to play them. Like, Under the Waves, like, that's super, like, big, creepy.
Big. That's where
Night in the Woods.
That's where my disinterest tends to come from. Not anything to do with the game, just the time to play it.
Road 96 was the Google Stadia game that they were making before they suddenly pivoted away. I mean, the only one I'd realistically probably check out is if I had like a little gap in my library, similar to how I did for the last couple of months when I went and checked out Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper and stuff.
Secret Agent
Daxter
Clank.
the game. Secret Agent Clank, yeah, because it's a smaller title on the PSP, so I know it's not going to be very long. The trophy list that gets added is generally like quite easy. It's got the rewind and save features as well, so like getting through it, when you make a mistake, you just go a little bit and rewind a little bit. So making that trophy hunting, it's a little bit easier. And I enjoy Ratchet and Clank, and I've never played a standalone Clank game, just like I never played a standalone Daxter game prior to last month. Mr. Mosquito kind of looks like a creepy bug from Rayman, so it doesn't interest me, but I've heard it's like definitely an outlier. So yeah, it's like it's a nice list, but like you said, I've just bought Space Marine, so between finishing Outlaws and Space Marine, that's where my precious gaming time is going to be spent. But yeah, looks like a decent month. I think Plucky Squire is probably the standout easily. Did anyone bother with Harry Potter Quidditch? Didn't really see that much buzz about it, considering it was a Harry Potter IP.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's probably got a small audience there. But
yeah. But it needs something to pull me in. I think that's the thing with the PlayStation world, is we're still waiting on what's next. Like, imagine if the PS5 Pro announcement happened with a Ghost of Tsushima trailer instead.
That's the
like,
thing.
That would have been like, I'm in.
I know it was a technical presentation, but that's where I think they may have dropped the ball a little bit, because this is what we're just generally waiting for. It's like, it's not even
what's
that.
Next?
They haven't even announced these games really.
No, like what?
Ghost of Tsushima 2 is not formally announced yet.
No, we'll have to probably do a special on it at some point. We might do it during the anniversary, actually, but like have just a deeper dive look at what these studios are working on. Because I feel like we know Xbox's slate through till 2026 now.
Yeah.
And we kind of have an idea what Sony's in, but I just like them to tell us. Like, what are Naughty Dog doing? What's Cory Barlog doing over in the other team at Sony Santa Clara? What the hell are Blue Point doing? They've been working on whatever, once Demon's Souls was wrapped up, since the PS5 launch. There's so much I just want to know. I
think a lot of these studios have been working on games as a service stuff that have been probably canned.
I hope not. I hope they're smarter than that.
Well, we know that's happened with Naughty Dog. So in terms of going back to their bread and butter, yes, they might have had some like notes and stuff in like pre-production, but they won't be that far along with it yet because they were working on Factions.
No. Naughty Dog was big enough to. Factions was their second project. I think they were always working. Yeah, they would never have committed their full team to live service. And Neil Druckmann said a few times like that. Yeah. That's not how. Think about how the way they've done them. They had the Uncharted team. They spun off and started The Last of Us. Then they went back to Uncharted for Uncharted 4, and then they had The Last of Us 2. So they've scaled up to a point where they've got two teams. Factions was essentially the Last of Us Part 2 team that kept working beyond the launch of the game in 2020, while this other team's working on their new franchise IP. But then when Factions folded, they've kind of merged maybe back into one big team. So, I mean, 2020 was the last big release. So 2025 is only a few months away, Richie. They've had half a decade since Part 2.
Yeah.
So, but then that's the same for a lot of these studios. Like, what are they doing? Like, I just want to see. I'm just really curious what first party have on slate for us. If only we had an event coming up that would fill us in on that.
Are you talking about a potential PlayStation State of Play, which is rumoured for September the 24th, ahead of Tokyo Game Showcase? They like doing that recently, don't they? Oh, he's a big event for gaming. Let's go a week earlier.
Just get in there, get in the news cycle. Tokyo Game Show's at the end of the month, and PlayStation actually came out and said they're going to be there, which shocked quite a few people. We know Death Stranding 2 is going to be there because Hideo Kojima is obviously a big fan of supporting his home country. Tokyo Game Show lines up with that. They are going to be in there. The other rumour is the new Resident Evil announcement, because it's been a few years since we got Village. If you think about you and me played that on Stadia.
We did.
That died like 2 years ago. So actually Resident Evil, the way they crank out those games, we had 4 Remake probably 2 years ago as well, nearly. So we're probably ripe for either another remake announcement. Give me one Capcom, or a new Resident Evil entry. Resident Evil is very closely partnered with PlayStation throughout history. Death Stranding 2 is PlayStation exclusive. So if they're going, as rumoured, a day or two before, I think that would line up. It's not a showcase either. It's a state of play, which is usually the smaller thing. We'll show off some stuff from our partners, and then they'll go into Tokyo Game Fest. So I think at the end of the month, we could have some nice second-party deals lining up for the PlayStation 5. And then I think they're keeping everything close to their chest till next year. I think the best we might get is at the Game Awards this year. We'll get a Ghost of Tsushima 2 trailer to round out the show.
I feel like what I want from Sony is a big showcase that just wows me game after game. What are your big studios working on? Cover them all.
Yeah, that summer showcase we had 2 years ago now, which was just banger after banger.
What's Guerrilla working on?
Probably the next Horizon.
Yeah, because we know there's rumours of Horizon MMO. There's quite a few
outsourced to a South Korean developer, though, isn't it?
But Guerrilla be probably overseeing the project.
Lego Horizons comes out next in November. That's not them either.
No, but what's the next big thing that they're working on in-house?
Killzone, baby.
Sucker Punch. Give me Ghost of Tsushima 2. Or if it's something else, give me that. This is where I want. It's like all your big studios, Blue Point, Insomniac. We know Insomniac, but go around all of your big studios and go, what you're working on. We need a trailer. Give us a trailer, whether it's gameplay or cinematics, or whether it's just an announcement, quick logo thing, whatever you've got. Send it to us. We're going to do a big showcase. We'll cover all the big studios.
Yeah,
because then they win. they just win the year.
Yeah. Back to a little bit of the Astrobot conversation from earlier, saying actually the cycle for making them games and the size of them. Apparently, when Team Asobi went to PlayStation with the pitch for the Astrobot game, they had in their initial slide presentation September 2024 as their launch window to celebrate PlayStation's 30th anniversary, and they hit that launch window. That very rarely happens in this industry now.
But as you said earlier, it's about a 15-hour game, though.
Yeah, the scope and the size.
Yeah.
And you listed a bunch of developers there who were sitting on franchise IP that they've not done anything else, but they line up with Astrobot's family-friendly vibe. So if you go to Sucker Punch, they have Sly Cooper sat waiting there. Yeah. If you go to Naughty Dog, they have Jak and Daxter sat waiting there. If you go to Insomniac, they have Ratchet and Clank, which probably will get another game. I think we did see that on the timeline that leaked, if I recall. So all these studios under PlayStation have IP that maybe could spin off and make smaller 15-hour experiences. I just hope the success of Astrobot has maybe piqued their curiosity, going, you know what, we're letting Nintendo eat our lunch here when it comes to family-friendly, universally praised, short, colourful, bright games. And I'd like to almost see a renaissance of that. You
saw Ratchet and Clank as a launch. It did really, really well.
Did, and it looked gorgeous, and still, it's to a point where they even showed it off with the PS5 Pro.
Yeah,
but it's, I don't know, I just feel like like you said, in a world where everything's massive open world, high fidelity, I'd love some little colourful platformers and just a bit more light-hearted, short experiences.
Stands out. That's the thing. When everything is Soulsborne-esque or Metroidvania or open world with light RPG mechanics, Astrobot just stood out from a mile away.
It's colourful, it's bright, he jumps, he punches, that's pretty much it. You don't even use all the buttons in the controller, and you know what? I had the best time of the year playing that game.
I haven't even played it, but just seeing the trailer, it's refreshing. Huge fan of diversity in video games. Do different stuff. When everything silos into the same format, that's when gaming gets boring. And that's why I think I'm a bit burned out with open world, because yes, you have a different skin over it. You might, in this game, you're using a sword, this game, you're using a blaster. You're doing the same shit, really. Yeah. But when you go,
Nintendo
okay,
does,
it's why I really enjoy going back and play Uncharted, because they are very linear. And it was a nice change of pace. It's why I'm looking forward to Echoes of Wisdom, because it looks quite unique.
Yeah,
it's why I was interested in Astrobot, even though I'm not traditionally a platformer. It's like it keeps the entire hobby interesting.
Yeah,
it's why Concord failed, because it was just the same as everything else in its genre.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So,
but anyway,
what would you like to see at Tokyo Game Showcase outside of PlayStation? Because we talked a lot about PlayStation in this show.
We have. This
is basically talking the PS right now.
I mean, they did announce a new console, so if we're ever going to do it, that's fair. Yeah. It's Tokyo, so I'm thinking like Japan Studios, but we just got Astrobot out of Japan. Yeah. Kojima's coming. I don't think PlayStation is going to necessarily be there to show off. I think they'll be there to support the second party. So I think I would be happy with a Resident Evil announcement. If they announce a Dino Crisis remake of some sort, I'll be all over that. But realistically, I probably think, I'll be happy with the Resident Evil. And I think heading into this Halloween, I've been saying it for pretty much the whole year, but I want to get onto the Resident Evil train. Like, we played Village, we played 7, and we had a great time with it, but I've never played them on my PlayStation, and I've got 2, 3, and 4 remake lined up. So if they come out with a 1 remake, alongside maybe whatever the follow-up to Village is, I'll be like, right, now is the time to pull the trigger on the RE franchise and go full in on it. Because I've loved playing 7 and Village, as scared as I am. But I want to experience them on my PlayStation with trophies. And I know a couple of Halloweens back we started 2. I want to see out that. But with 1 just sat there vacant, I'm so particular about doing things in chronological order.
Yeah.
I just want that 1 remake to really just set the fire under me to go onto it.
I'm a big advocate for a 1 remake. I know they did it for the GameCube, but I would do 1 remake. You went Capcom, so I'm going to go Konami. Metal Gear Solid Delta is still slated to come out this year. We have not got a release date.
I've pre-ordered it. When I ordered Space Marine last night, I pre-ordered Delta because it popped up in the recommendations, and it was like, well, I'm going to buy it, so yeah.
We need a date on that. I think this game should get pushed to 2025, though, at this point.
It's getting late in the day,
We're late in the year, and the year's stacked. I know it's Metal Gear Solid and should command everyone's attention, but is there just too much between now and Christmas where they might be better off dominating the early part of the year themselves, where there's a bit more space?
Late spring next year has got a good space to it, I think.
April. Push it in the next financial year. But we also have news of Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 2, which apparently they've learned the lessons from Volume 1, because Volume 1 had a rough launch.
Yeah, we knew Volume 2 was coming, because they looked at the breakdown of the files on PC for the Collection 1, and it literally explicitly said the Volume 2 will include 4, 5, and Peace Walker, which is the PlayStation Portable game.
The fact they called it Volume 1 suggests there's going to be another volume.
Yeah, that gives it away, doesn't it? They've still got maybe time to figure out what they want to put in. I'd personally like to see like Metal Gear Portable Ops and Metal Gear Acid as like a separate little mini volume of like the portable ones. They have admitted though that the issue they've got with the new ones is just the technology behind it. Is 1, 2, and 3 are very old games that already had ports with the Twin Snakes, the HD remaster collections back in the day. 4 specifically has been stranded on that PS3 with the Cell processor, causing enough problems for Sony, let alone porting the game across. And 5 is already available on modern hardware with backwards compatibility. Anyway.
5's the one I would omit from a Volume 2. I'd go 4 plus a lot of the side stuff.
Yeah.
Because 5 is already there. You can just buy it. You can play it. I don't think it needs to be in there.
Yeah. Maybe give time 5 to age a bit more before going back to it.
Yeah.
Because you've got... What was the one that brought out before 5? It was like a shorter 15-hour experience that was only like 25, 30 quid.
Oh, I know what you mean.
So it was Phantom Pain.
Phantom Pain was
Metal Gear. It was where Snake was it basically showcased what 5 was going to be, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Metal Gear. I can hear people in the comments going, Metal Gear.
What are they called?
Metal Gear.
Dun, 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 dun. There was Survive, which was a weird multiplayer thing. Ground Zeroes.
Don't count that. Ground Zeroes, that was it, yeah.
Yeah.
That was it. That whetted people's appetite for 5.
Yeah, so I think we've got portable. I think it should be Portable Ops, Guns of the Patriots, Peace Walker, Metal Gear Rising, and
Acid.
Acid? Do you want some acid?
Yeah.
I don't have any. And Ground Zeroes. So basically, everything that I haven't done. Yeah, actually, I think that's it. Everything after Metal Gear 3 Snake Eater, but before Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain. That's what I'd have in this collection.
Interesting. I was looking back at some of these older ones as well that I've got on PSP. The Portable Ops one, I didn't realise it's the American version I own, and I remembered when I was looking through it is I bought it from the Virgin Megastore in Florida when I was like 13, 14-year-old maybe. I got my PSP, and when you went over there, because of the tax differences, the games were way cheaper, but because the PSP had UMD discs, it was the first one that wasn't region locked. So I remember going like, I can get a game over here in the States for cheaper and it will work on my PSP. So I remember being on holiday. All my holiday money for that trip went on like 3 PSP games. So yeah, my Portable Ops version is the US version.
Oh, wow.
Which it basically was Metal Gear 5, like Peace Walker is, where you go in, do an individual level, Fulton people out of there, build up your team back at home base, and that's 5, which is why I think Peace Walker is so revered, because it is essentially 5, but without the tech behind it. Yeah,
see, I didn't like the home-based stuff in 5. I thought it just got in the way of the rest of the game.
Back and forth.
Yeah, and
what about D-Dog?
There's a point where, because there was online functionality where people could attack your base, and it's like, I hated it. I actually hated it. It's like, once that happened to me it was like, I just no longer cared about the home base, so if I didn't do another thing, home base. It's like, I'm not spending my time building this up for some dickhead on the internet to destroy it. It's not what I'm into.
B&Q, though?
What, B&Q?
Yeah, you said home base.
Oh, fuck B&Q, fuck home base.
Wow.
I have no issues with either of them.
And Konami for Sour and Kojima.
But are we past that now, though? It's been a long time.
I mean, we are, but they aren't. That's the big difference. The day they mend their bridges and he goes full circle, after he does Death Stranding 3 and whatever his other projects are, he'll come back for one more Metal Gear in partnership with Konami, but it has to be done by Kojima Productions. That's his rule. It's like, give me the IP, I'll make a game for you, Konami. We'll put everything to rest. But I think it will rest on when Delta comes out. If they don't mention Kojima's name in the Delta credits, they can go fuck themselves.
Yeah. That's because it's just pettiness. You could just literally go executive producer Hideo Kojima, or original work by Hideo Kojima as a very quick line. He's in the credits, and it's like then it would just show Konami's moved on from him.
Yeah, like get on with it.
Because when you're still, because they know Metal Gear fans, anytime they do anything Metal Gear, is going to be looking for his name. And if it's not there, it shows that he's still got a lot of place in their heads, that they haven't moved on. They need to move on, acknowledge the fact that he was so instrumental in these games, give him the credit he deserves, and then make another fucking Metal Gear game.
Yeah.
I
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
What are your thoughts, though, on the new Xbox Game Pass tiers, Chris?
Well, it's very relevant news for you and me, Richie, because now our all-access things are expiring this month. We're going to need to make a decision on which tier of Game Pass we commit to going forward if we want to play games for the channel. So we actually have to make an informed decision. Xbox Game Pass is in the news this week because they finally launched their new tier system, which they confirmed a couple of months back, where they're basically bringing down the entry level to the standard tier, but then they're increasing the price across others and stuff to include different things. But the biggest thing they did was they announced that day one first-party titles are no longer going to be part of the standard entry-level tier. So if you're on the Game Pass level 1, you ain't getting Indiana Jones, you ain't getting Starfield, you ain't getting anything like that. And it's caused a bit of a ruckus this week because now it's gone live. They've basically stripped out a couple of games that were first-party.
There's probably, if you're watching the YouTube version, a graphic on the screen. What would annoy me, what does annoy me actually is PC Game Pass players, bear in mind they're $3 a month cheaper, do get day one games.
Yep. Gotta please them PC folk.
Yet they're happy to charge more for the console version and give us less.
But this is where is console just like its own thing, where people don't pay attention to the PC side of things because they just have the console at home. So it's like, well, you'll pay it anyway for that bespoke console experience. But yeah, I mean, what have they took out? So some of the ones that they've took out recently is Diablo 4 Age of Mythology, which just came out this week. Live stream on the channel. Starfield's been removed. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. So it's interesting, like a couple of days ago, you had them, and now you don't because of the restructure. If I was halfway through playing one and I didn't pay attention to blog posts or updates,
I'd be raging.
very confused and very pissed off, where it's like, I haven't finished Starfield yet, and now you're telling me to keep playing it, I need to pay more money.
Yeah, I'd be raging.
Interesting, yeah.
I would go the other way. I go, fuck Game Pass if that happened to me. Genuinely, because I would be that petty. He's like, no, I'm not paying you more money. I'm going to pay you less because you pissed me off. But obviously they brought out Game Pass Core, which is $9.99 a month, which you get online console multiplayer. That shouldn't be locked behind a paywall nowadays. Online console multiplayer should not be locked behind a paywall. Just, if you're still using that as a selling point, fuck you.
It's a weird one because like the big games are still free. So like Fortnite is still free, regardless of if you've got it or not. I
don't care how big the games is. It's normal. It's basic functionality of the device nowadays. I pay for my internet provider. This should not be locked. This is very much Xbox 360 era shite.
Yeah. They have also confirmed recently that it will be up to 12 months or more before day one releases on Game Pass Ultimate make their way to the standard tier. So if you think, I'll just wait them out,
so
just bear in mind you're going to be waiting a year or more.
Up to or more means it could be before a year or after a year. It's redundant. It's a redundant statement. But for Core, you also get a limited catalogue of 25 plus games on console and membership deals and discounts. If you upgrade to standard, you'll get the Game Pass catalogue, but you don't get your day one editions. You got PC Game Pass. You don't get the online console multiplayer. You don't get the limited collection of console games. You get the membership deals and discounts. You get the PC Game Pass library, day one editions, perks and discounts in the Game Pass library, and EA Play, Riot Games benefits. Game Pass Ultimate, you get a lot.
So
you sticking with Ultimate?
Yeah, for the extra couple of quid, it's like we usually play on. Like, for the cloud stuff alone, like, that's usually how we broadcast our streams, because the cloud part's just more convenient for me anyway.
Cloud is ultimate only. I think specify that.
Which is, again, it's the DNA of our channel, so I think I'll always lean into that. The day one games, like, I want to play Indiana Jones later this year, so yes, I'll keep it for that. And just, I think it's in a weird way, it's similar to the Pro conversation, where I just want everything.
I think
so. It's like, why, for the sake of a couple of pound, it's so low and the difference is so insequential. Yeah, I'll just have the highest one.
I think this is a perception thing going on with me because I'm going Ultimate as well. Ultimate is going to cost me less money because I'm not paying for my Xbox Series S anymore. So I'm actually saving money. So it's like, it's about how much money am I saving every month rather than how much more am I spending. In the way I'm looking at it, because that's just the direction of travel.
What are we going from $21.99 down to $14.99?
Yeah, something like that.
Console still works. We'll still play on PC and cloud. So
I could drop another £4 a month and then get less functionality, and then lose the PC side of it.
Yeah. So I guess in a quick roundabout nutshell, way then, Richie, after 2 years of Game Pass, have you been satisfied with what you've gotten for your money over the last 2 years, console included?
Yes.
Like, has all access been worth the access?
Yeah, I actually think it has. again, I've been leaning more towards PlayStation stuff, but having that catalogue there because we're on the channel. But I kind of try to think of this as if I didn't have a PlayStation 5 and I wasn't that asked about the best titles day and date, I wasn't bothered about PlayStation first party. I just wondered, what is the best bang for buck gaming experience you can get? It's exactly what I did. Get the Series S on All Access. Actually, if I didn't have a PS5, I would have went for the Series X. Get the Series X on All Access with PlayStation, with Game Pass Ultimate. You pay what is probably about less than £30 a month for Series X on All Access.
Yeah.
That's very... If you have Netflix and Amazon Prime and Disney Plus, that's probably more than 30 quid.
It absolutely is, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I have all of them.
And you have access to all the games you could realistically ever want. Unless there's specific stuff on like the PlayStation side of things. So I do think it is... Yeah, I'm satisfied.
Yeah, exactly same echo. All that the All Access and Game Pass collectively is the best value in video games, hands down. Like anyone complain about the Pro, if you're worried that much about money, get a Series S with Game Pass. You will be set for life with just that box and bundle. And
realistically, the PS4 is good enough.
Yeah,
like the Series S is good enough. If money is an issue. If money is a severe issue, you want a game, you want the game on console, but you don't want to spend too much money, it's the Series S with Game Pass. That's it is unfortunate that console Game Pass has been reduced in what you get. So if you can stretch to it, I'd go Ultimate, but Ultimate isn't with All Access anyway. So that's more, if you're looking to buy now, that's a conversation you have in a year's time. Yeah, 2 years time, actually. 2 years.
Yeah, and I think I've settled on with my All Access. I'm going to keep Game Pass, but I'm not going to commit to another console until I see what follows the Series X. I think next time I'll go all in on the top tier console.
Yes, I probably would.
But I don't need an X between now and whenever.
Well, the reason I went for the Series S is because for day and date games that I want to get the best performance, I already have my PS5 sat there. So I was getting a Series X because I wanted access to that Xbox library. Yeah. And I didn't really care getting about the best performance because I'm only looking at a 1080p monitor. I don't need better than that. Next time I consider an Xbox console, though, I'll probably be living with my girlfriend, and then I've got 4K HDR TV to run, so I'll probably be looking the other way. So it just comes down to what you need.
It does. Do you need to save the galaxy for the Emperor, though, Richie?
No. You do, though, because you bought the game. So, Space Marine 2, the most successful Steam launch for Warhammer 40k series?
Yeah, and no surprise. Space Marine 2, strong start on Steam. It's, like I said, it's the most successful Warhammer game in terms of peak concurrent users. Previously, it was Total War Warhammer 3, which we know Rob is a big fan of. That had an all-time peak of 166,000. Space Marine 2, 225,000 and higher, keeps rising. And that was, I think we praised it the other week for even its pre-order launches, like the early access was already doing stellar numbers. And it got great reviews. Last week we covered it. It was like 8s and 9s out of 10. I think this has just been a standout game that's landed somehow in the busy period of the year, but it's not lost any of the wind in its sails. I think on another day, this could have maybe been swept aside as like a AA game. But I feel like there's enough nerdy fantasy people out there to go, you know, Outlaws didn't hit for a couple of people. Astrobot's for family. It's a while till we get Assassin's Creed and the next big thing. I think Space Marine, they've just kind of hit on everything. Graphically, it looks beautiful. Gameplay is fun. The reviews have landed well. And its timing seems to be middle of September. It's a good window for launch before the busy season truly kicks off.
Yeah.
And I am genuinely looking forward to it. And I think if all those perfect Storm elements hadn't been there, I might have just waited and picked it up for cheaper many, many moons from now, but it's on its way. It's
a game that I think has caught the attention of the PC gamers, and it's not a full price game. It's
50 quid.
It's £55 on Steam.
Ooh, 49 on Amazon. Just saying, physical. Actually, 46 in Argos, but they didn't have it in stock.
Yeah, but I think because it is that cheaper price point, but then does have the polish. It's not the biggest game ever, but as we said earlier in the show, I think it's becoming more and more. especially for games that are targeting an older audience, time is valuable. My biggest criticism of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was it's too big.
Yeah.
I didn't consider... I was getting close to 100 hours and I was nowhere near the platinum for that trophy. I had a full playthrough to do again on a harder difficulty, so I just sod that.
Yeah. Space Marine 2 campaign, 9 hours in length to complete.
Maybe could be a bit longer for my taste, that, for the price, but the quality's there.
40 if you want to go for full completion.
There you go. That's...
Yeah.
40 is about... I think 40 hours for a game that is about, what, in your £50 to £60 range is about right.
Yeah. But if you don't have that time on your hands, why not play Flappy Bird instead?
Flappy Bird. What's going on with Flappy Bird, Chris, and why has it come back?
It's back, so there's a couple of shock things. We don't normally talk about mobile gaming, but I think Flappy Bird is its own thing. Everyone remembers it. It got over 100 million downloads back in 2014, which is what shocked me the biggest of this whole article. It's that it was 10 years ago. It feels like only yesterday when everyone downloaded it, checked it out, had a laugh, criticized it for its Mario World copyright infringement. Everyone was playing. It's my parents were having a go at this, my siblings, friends, colleagues at work. 10 years ago that was, Richie. Flappy Bird.
I don't know. It's one of them I never fully understood because it's not a unique game.
It's not.
It's that style of game where it's like Helicopter. Do you remember Helicopter? Like the bloody Flash
just
game?
holding the space bar.
That's all Flappy Bird is, effectively. Obviously, mechanically things are tweaked, but it's the same game.
Yeah. It's
I
one of those.
Understood the hype.
I think it was just because it costs next to nothing, and it was fun. There is something about just seeing who can get the high score. It's the ultimate arcade setup.
Yeah.
Where you just tap the screen and see how far you can flap, and it had that Mario skin to it that made, I think, it appealing to a lot of people. And
when it got pulled from sale, actually, if you had an iPhone with Flappy Bird on it, that drastically increased in value.
Yeah, it's like PT getting pulled. Yeah. But the original developer, Dong Nguyen, pulled it despite it making 50 grand a day, because he said he was just overwhelmed by its popularity and the complaints and the praise and everything that came from it. I think it was just someone who maybe it took off a lot more than expected. But the game's back thanks to the Flappy Bird Foundation, a team of fans committed to sharing the game with the world once again. Together with affiliates, the team has acquired the official rights from the Game Tech Holding Group, who obviously probably bought it from the original developer a few years back. And yeah, it's here. The new version includes new game modes, characters, and even multiplayer challenges. So they've added a little bit to it. It's been a decade-long convoluted journey to get here, but we're so happy, said a Flappy Bird Foundation spokesperson. I'll probably download it and play it for all of 5 minutes. Give my wife a go. She'll get a score, and then I'll go, haha, I beat you, and then I'll never touch it again. Maybe for another 10 years. But it's nice to see video game preservation is still going. Yeah.
Talking about video game preservation, let's go on to Minecraft, Chris. Minecraft is 15 years old now.
What?
I know.
Have we already hit the this day in video game section of the show?
Not quite.
15,
not quite.
15 years. Bloody hell.
But it's mad to think that, because Minecraft took over the world before Fortnite took over the world.
It did. It still does to a degree. You've kind of got your Fortnite for killing people, and you've got your Minecraft for creating people, life.
There's about a movie come out.
Oh, yeah, we won't look too much into that. But what are they doing to celebrate their 15th year in the mining industry?
They're making more Minecraft, really. I actually don't know. What are they doing, Chris?
I'll read from the article, Richie. Yeah. Minecraft the Future, celebrating 15 years of Minecraft. Minecon is later on this year as well. It's already been Minecraft Live. They do so many shows now throughout the course of the year because it's that big. More features are dropping. A new format for Minecraft Live, and they want to shape the future together. So looking at this one, it says the game's obviously, we're not going to see a sequel to Minecraft. I think that's all very understandable.
Yeah. Why would you risk the sequel when 15 years it's one of the most popular games still?
Yeah, and reading from the blog, it says, together we've created a game that stood the test of time as we look forward towards our 16th birthday and beyond. We're here to talk about the future of Minecraft development and how we're bringing you new features with more regularity. The change we're making to Minecraft Live more. I don't even know what Minecraft Live is. Is that just a show?
Yeah, I'm guessing it's just a live
Twice
show.
a year? Oh, okay, yeah. So we'll get into it. More content on the way featuring development rhythm. Instead of providing one update during the summer, as we've done in the past, we'll now be releasing a number of free game drops throughout the year. It feels like they're leaning more towards like season pass content.
Yeah. A few developers are starting to do this. Rather than having one big update 6 months after a game comes out, they're doing more frequent. Destiny are doing it with more frequent, smaller updates, which I think it keeps the player base engaged. You might not get that big content drop that you like, but it's like always new stuff.
Yeah, it always seems so small as well. Like they said here, the Armored Paws content, which brought armadillos, wolf variations, bat updates, and wolf armor. And then it says, yeah, developers are still working to grow since its first release. Long-term initiatives so we can ensure to evolve Minecraft long into the future. They don't actually say that much specifically.
No.
But I think that's with Minecraft. I think it's always just going to be a platform. And I'm so glad that they never did a sequel. I don't think it needs it. I'm just happy for Minecraft to just exist.
But they are working on the native PS5 version of Minecraft. Obviously, they've got the ray traced version, which looks... I think it's insane how beautiful that game looks, considering the nature of the art style is like designed to be blocky.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. Like, I think it is the best game actually to showcase ray tracing, because it's not traditionally beautiful in the way a lot of like more realistic graphical games are. So so the effect of the lighting stands out much more pronounced.
Yeah. I agree.
But where do you want to end? I think we've got time for one more, Chris.
I was just going to do quick fire, I reckon.
Quick fire. So Rockstar co-founder Dan Houser is taking huge. Takes core crew from Immortals of Avium team under the wing and forms a new studio, Absurd Marin.
Yep, sounds great. Again, he's had lots of experience with Rockstar, over 20 plus years of it. He's took his millions. He's formed his own studio, Ascendant Studios, and then all the great people who made Immortals of Avium, which was a good game. It just didn't sell any units, similar to Concord in a way for EA. He's picked now loads of their core team and he's opened a new studio now. So this guy's left Rockstar with his millions and he's now formed 2 new studios to focus on a single player, story-driven experiences. Which I think in a couple of years' time, when we're getting new IP and new games from these smaller studios, that's what keeps the industry ticking over. So I'm happy to see that, especially when the next news story is everyone's just leaving people.
Yes, we don't have time to cover the story properly, but basically the entire Annapurna Interactive team have left. All 25 members of the Annapurna Interactive team collectively resigned. This was one of the hardest decisions. I'm reading from Bloomberg. This is one of the hardest decisions we've ever had to make, and we did not take this action lightly, said Gary from the group in the joint statement. Yeah.
Thanks, Gary. It's weak because Annapurna, they're a publisher, so they kind of like they did Stray, if you remember. But again, a publishing team, they'll deal with like marketing and relationships management and PR. They don't actually like make the games really, so them walking out, it's a bit of an odd one. The thing that stands for me is they've came out and their new CEO has actively said, like, we'll still honour our relationships. Because remember, we covered it 2 weeks ago. They've just made a deal with Remedy to make Alan Wake TV movies and cross-media stuff. And then now they're scrambling to keep those deals alive, I guess.
It's there was basically a dispute with the owner. I don't know the details of the dispute. But it's got to be quite severe if the entire team just went, fuck this, we're out. Yeah,
it's an odd one.
It is.
We'll hear more about that, I guess, when they restructure and if their contracts still go. Like, if Remedy turn around and go, whoa, we're out, we're going with someone else. Like, we'll learn about that as it comes.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Remedy, I would want lots of detail on what the hell's going on. Because if you're forming that relationship, it's like you want to know who's in bed with. Free DLC with speed runs and more characters are coming to Astrobot. Are you looking forward to this, Chris?
Yeah, I'd take it today if they put it out. Of course, the last Astrobot game came with like time trials, where when you finished a time trial, it would show your friends list in the time scoreboards. So when, I don't know if you remember, but when we all got our PS5s, is it would show like your name and my name next to each other to see who was faster. And I thought that was a really cool integration of like friend lists without really blowing the lid off the game. So yeah, I think speedrun's coming and some DLC, which is long rumored to be Square Enix DLC.
That would be cool.
So,
that would be really cool.
But
Get
this is
people
where
like Cloud Strife in there.
yeah, and this is where I would like Astrobot to. It could be a platform. Like we've seen it even just a couple of weeks ago. They were updating Astro's Playroom to add in 4 bots. I went and got 4 bots the last week before the game launched, and they showed up in Astrobot because I'd collected them in Astro's Playroom. So there's more bots to find, and actually when I landed in the hub world, they were already there because I found them in the old game. So if they keep updating it very smartly, maybe with timed or themed seasonal content, like drop a season pack for Square Enix and go look at all these Square Enix IP that are now in Astrobot, and then maybe do it with Capcom in the future, and then maybe do it with whoever. I think it could keep Astrobot alive, like season to season, Christmas, summer, etc., with this extra like nice little boosts.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Dead Island 2 is getting the Horde mode coming 22nd of October as part of a free update. I like free updates.
Yeah.
I know it goes without saying, but
who doesn't?
Yeah, it's nice when developers keep supporting the games in these ways. We also have Planet Coaster 2, lands the 6th of November. Has that just been given a fresh release date? Because I think, wasn't it pulled the release date at one point?
No, I think it's City Skylines PC release. Or console release, sorry.
Right, yeah, I knew there was something in this kind of...
Yeah, it's same company. It's still Frontier. Yeah, they had a console announcement, then they pulled it and they said, we'll get back to you, so probably sometime next year. But then they stealth announced almost Planet Coaster 2 at one of the Summer Game Fest things without a date, and then it seemingly that's more ready to go than Skylines is. So yeah, Planet Coaster 2, including water park features like log flumes and splash rides, coming 6th of November. So
yeah, and finally, Cozy Hobbit Life Simulator Tales of the Shire has been delayed till 2025.
Back in your Hobbit hole.
Not a bad decision, I don't think.
No.
Reading from the statement, all of us here at Weta Workshop are excited to have you join us in the Shire, a peaceful corner of J.R.R. Tolkien's world. When a new Hobbit steps into Bywater for the very first time, we want that moment to be everything you're hoping for. To ensure we deliver on that vision, Tales of Shire will now be launching early 2025. Thank you for your patience and continued support. Be sure to tune into our Hobbit Day showcase on September the 22nd to learn more about Tales of the Shire and our new release date. Weta Workshop Game Studios.
Yeah, I think a cozy game coming out in the winter months is probably better. You want it to be night when you're tucked in, it's dark and cold outside. You want to play a cozy game, so get in your little hobbit holes. You watching Rings of Power Season 2?
I haven't started it yet.
Just off the back of it? Very good.
I kind of enjoyed... Season 1 was weird. I enjoyed it. Kind of. I don't know. I enjoyed it at the time, but I didn't have any... When I saw Rings of Power Season 2 came out, I was like, okay, that's out.
Yeah.
It didn't have that pulling power.
I found it easier Season 2, I think, because of that initial disconnect of like, it doesn't look like Peter Jackson's world, so I'm finding it very hard to get on board with. Now I've had another 2 years to wait and seeing Season 2 come back with the same characters, I think I'm just more accepting of them now because I've seen them already out. I know where they land, what dwarfs act like. They're not going to look quite the same, what the elves are like, the aesthetics of the world. I think now I know it's definitively not Peter Jackson because I've had 2 years to sit on it.
Yeah.
I think I'm just more open to it because at the end of the day, it's more Lord of the Rings content, and I do genuinely think Season 2, episode for episode, is getting a lot better at storytelling. The pacing's better, and yeah, again, the wife really didn't enjoy Season 1 as a big Lord of the Rings fan as well, but we're both enjoying Season 2. So I think it's doing the right things of what you want, improvement season on season.
That's a concern I have because my girlfriend is now a Lord of the Rings fan after I made her watch the extended. No, I borrowed your version of the original editions because I only had the extended. And I thought the extended might be a bit much when I'm trying to get her to like the franchise.
Agreed, yeah.
So I was like, this is my thing why I've been hesitant because I will obviously be watching with her and I'd want to rewatch Season 1 before with her because she hasn't watched it. I don't think she'd enjoy it.
Interesting though, it almost is like a psychological test because she's not that like enamored with Lord of the Rings full stop. Like obviously she is more so now.
Yeah, but
it could be an interesting test bed to be like, right, take the same subject matter. This is like a new story in that universe, and I'd be very curious to see if she just appreciates the quality production, the characters. Like she's not going to really remember any characters anyway. She won't have like the 20-year affiliation to Kate Blanchett's Galadriel that we do. So I'd be very curious to just see maybe after season 1 and 2. Wouldn't it be hilarious if she turns around and goes, you know what, I enjoyed the show more than the movies?
Yeah, but I'm thinking about it and going, I think my enjoyment of Rings of Power comes from the fact that I am a Lord of the Rings fan.
You big
not
nerd.
Because of the quality of the show, to be honest. Yeah. I think if you take away the fandom of Lord of the Rings, would you have enjoyed it?
I mean, it's got to be better than like the Wheel of Time and stuff that's out there right now. Amazon's other fantasy. Exactly, it's another Amazon fantasy show with swords and knights and castles and stuff. But again, you can't beat Lord of the Rings for fantasy exists because of Tolkien, essentially.
I mean, that's not true, Tolkien, but Tolkien is the biggest exponent of the fantasy genre.
The way we visualize it, then.
Yeah,
I would say.
Every modern fantasy thing you can trace a route back into Tolkien.
George R. R. Martin not finishing his books.
Yeah, but even George R. R. Martin says he intentionally tried to do stuff that the Lord of the Rings wouldn't do. Yeah. So it's still there. The influence is still there. He's just made sure he was influenced in the opposite direction rather than copying it. He flipped the coin.
Still cast Sean Bean though, didn't they?
He
still
did.
Cast Sean Bean.
Well,
he didn't, but yeah. Anyway.
We like to round up the show, Chris, with this week in video game history. So starting on September the 14th, anything jump out to you?
Yeah, good day. GameCube. 23 years ago in Japan, the GameCube. You could carry it to your friends with the built-in handle.
Yeah.
4 controller ports.
Yeah. Well, the N64 had 4 controller ports.
So I'm saying it, they kept it. It was like a great feature. And of course, the mini discs. Everyone was like, they're so tiny.
Yeah, because they decided they needed to move to optical medium, but didn't want to pay Sony the licenses for DVD.
Still had a quirky controller.
It did.
And it came in purple originally. I didn't have a GameCube, but I've got a lot of nostalgic love for a GameCube.
The GameCube was
how weird they were. It was.
The whole idea of the handle, I think, is weird. Who was actually carrying that around the friend's house?
I don't know. I used to put my PS2 Slim in my back pocket of my jeans and go around friends' houses. Like, that's how slim the PS2 Slim was. Your big fat pocket on your jeans. Although jeans were baggier back in the early 2000s.
Oh, yeah, we had some baggy jeans.
Baggy trousers.
20 years ago, The Sims 2 came out.
Sims 2? Shit.
I think I don't think I've ever played The Sims 2, actually. I played the original. I played a lot of Sims 3. I don't think I've played much of Sims 4. Give me Sims 5. It's time for me to get back into The Sims.
Yeah, we need a free-to-play platform of that.
Yeah.
Fable, 20 years ago on the Xbox.
Yeah.
As well. Huge game.
Skate
Luigi's Mansion.
Skate on the Xbox. Kind of became... I never really played Skate, but it was on my radar because I never had an Xbox 360. It was kind of where Tony Hawk's arcade Skate was more realistic.
Yeah. Yeah, Skate. Yeah, well, Skate's due a comeback, remember? They showed us that terrible trailer, which was a behind-the-scenes, just look at the frame wiring and stuff. Luigi's Mansion, 23 years ago, launched with the GameCube, if I recall. And one for the sad books, back to Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings Aragorn's Quest, which was a Wii title with a movable, 3D, a motion sword that you swing. Came out on the Wii and PlayStation 3 with the PlayStation Move. I bought it. I did not get past the initial tutorial level because it was so bad.
September the 15th is quite a banger as well when you look through it.
Oh, let's have a look. Animal Crossing, the original Animal Crossing.
I didn't even see that. I was looking further down the rest. You got things like Forza Motorsport 6, Divinity Original Sin 2, which then game basically got them Baldur's Gate. Undertale. A game I've never played, but it has such a cult following on the internet.
Yeah.
You know when the following of a game is so strong in a cult fashion that you're like, and it kind of puts you off playing the game, because it's like, how can this game be as good as all these people say it is? Persona 5 8 years ago. When's Persona 6, Chris? When is Persona 6?
2026.
It's time. Come. Maybe Tokyo Game Showcase could be a place to drop a Persona 6.
Well, we've had 3 and 4 reloaded.
Yeah.
This year, so yeah.
So the next thing on the works you would think would be Persona 6.
You would. And
Atlas Japanese studio.
I could see it. And then before we round it out, I want to just jump ahead another day to the September 16th. Kingdom Hearts, PS2. Simpsons Hit and Run, PS2, 21 years ago. And
Star Wars Jedi Knight Academy on the PC.
Yeah, I'll take it. But yeah, September's a good month so far. I feel like we've had a good 2 weeks back to back of nostalgia.
Christ, Chris. Warlong Fallen Dynasty 2 years ago.
Well, how? That can't be right.
It is. His PS5 launch was 2 years ago on September the 16th. I thought that was last year.
I played it when my daughter was born in the March last year.
Oh, is it? It's the demo. Well, no, it is on the Game FAQ site. It doesn't actually. It just lists as Warlong Fallen Dynasty. When you click on it, it goes demo.
Yeah, I was going to say I definitively played it over the weekend my daughter was born.
Yeah,
I remember it very well.
Yeah, I was going to say this, like, that one wasn't on me. That was on the Game FAQ site. It should have said demo next to it.
Should have done.
But
get your shit together, website.
Yeah, get your shit together. And we're about to get our shit together, because that is the end of this week's show. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell so you're kept in the loop of all fantastic content here, such as our 5th year anniversary live stream. It's already up on the channel. You can already bookmark it. You can already save that into your watch later list. You could just open it now and just leave it open for a couple of weeks so you don't forget about it, whatever floats your boat. Mm-hmm. And if you fancy it, head over to the merch store, where you can get yourself a dog bandana or maybe some swimming trunks. There's a sale going on from the 21st to the 26th of September. We appreciate all your support. Thank you very much for watching. My name's been Richie.
I've been Chris.
GG everyone. Goodbye.